All right, hello everybody. Thanks for giving me a couple of minutes to finish up your presentation, to get the candles all prepared, and to set intentions for today's reading. I'm still getting used, even after a couple of months, to getting up this early. It is a little bit of a challenge until... Oops, sorry. There's the background noise. I was saying it's a little bit of a challenge getting up early based on all the construction, but I appreciate your sort of cooperation as I'm dealing with that. And again, I'm happy to be here with you. I'm going to put down my furry assistant so we can get started. And we're going to traverse here through the next 6 to 8 weeks to see what's coming through for all of us, especially for Cancer here. And Cancer, again, you can use this for your sun, your rising, and your moon. So my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and I'm here to help you do that. And here's the sort of overall format that I use when I'm doing my monthly readings. I like to begin with channeled messages, and the channeled messages come from dreams and also from meditations. And I've been compiling 2 days worth of dreams for today's reading, which is why it took a little bit of extra time. Plus, I was researching the light bulb. And so I do my research the morning of, because a lot of times I get the messages the morning of. So sometimes it takes me a couple of extra minutes. After we do the channel messages, we'll get into the Celtic Cross. And after that, then we expand it to look at specific areas, including health, wealth, love, and destiny. Quick reminder, if you have questions, hold that until the very end. I always have a chance for you to meditate on a question, and then I pull a card on that. The rest of the format is listed here. As you see, there's some interactive elements. We'll look at blessings and blocks. You'll have a chance to vote on some things. And we also will look at specifically at sun, rising, moon, and that'll actually happen right before the meditation. So hopefully that helps you. And I am ready to begin with you. So let me get my my presentation set up. Again, still waking up here, so apologies as I'm getting everything set up here. Okay, so the presentation for today is ready. And again, we're going to be focusing on something kind of cool. I was in my dreams this morning looking at light bulbs, like nonstop, all these different types of light bulbs too. So like an incandescent, an old-fashioned that we were using like last century, and then the newer LEDs and also the compact fluorescents. And then I was looking at old-fashioned light bulbs as well, like Edison style. So light bulbs basically is what we're going to be focusing on first. I was also looking at the house. And for me, houses always represent opportunities or spaces for new things to happen. It can also be sort of like the mental real estate that you're holding space for. But I was looking at open doors and there wasn't enough lighting. So I was kind of helping you find the right lights, firm up all the doors, secure everything. And then I also wanted to kind of talk about specificity because I was looking at a menu and it was confusing. So I'm going to kind of talk about all of these messages and how they can help you today, beginning with the light bulb. I always like to geek out a little bit and understand the totem that comes through before I get started on the reading for you. And we always give Edison credit. He actually wasn't the one that invented. He patented the light bulb, but he basically improved upon the light bulb. But filing a patent and sort of commercializing something doesn't mean that you were the first to invent it. So I looked back, and based on the research that I've done, there may be even someone that did something earlier. Humphrey Davy was the first person that I could find, like in 1802. And then I saw like almost half a dozen or more people that added additional things to it. Different filaments, different exteriors, different gases, different things that they were experimenting with. And then in 1879, Edison filed a patent, and then by 1880, he had it to the point where it was commercially viable. And so that's why he gets credit. So he commercialized the bulb, but there were a bunch of other people behind him that worked on research development and other aspects of it. And so that's kind of an important piece to this too, is that we'll talk about it in a moment. It's not always about who comes up with the idea. It's about who's able to sort of package, deliver, and bring it to market. And when it comes to some of us in everyday life, this can be frustrating, right? Because you might be the one that's innovating. You might be the one that's always there coming up with something new. And this month, this particular totem is saying, make sure that you shine too. Make sure that you're part of that sort of discovery and delivery of that as a discovery as well. So if I had a little more room on this slide, I might put the star card in here. But there was a lot of data that I needed to fit in on this, and it was more important to talk about that. A couple of other fun facts when I was looking at why incandescent bulbs are being phased out, it's because they're very inefficient. And earlier bulbs were a little bit better, they lasted longer, but to make them cheaper and to make them more available, many bulbs only have like 10% efficiency. Most of it's lost in heat. So that's why compact fluorescents and LEDs have taken over, because they're far more energy efficient. And the cost is coming down for purchasing them. And even if you, all the lights that I'm using in front of me are LEDs as well. Even I have a couple of professional lights here, actually more than a few, and they're all LEDs. They last a very long time, and they're very efficient and they're cool. So I'm not going to feel like this crazy amount of heat while I'm doing what I'm doing, so you can see what I'm doing. So everything in my house is incandescent. Is LED versus an incandescent, just because of that. Otherwise it gets hot. So I think that one of the things that we're looking at here is efficiency as well. So we'll highlight that as we look at some of the other messages. Also, old technology needs to find a way to stay relevant. Interestingly enough, we look at some things like the LP, the album, and it comes back, and new LEDs are taking the forms of the Edison light bulb. So they have all these filaments inside and they look old-fashioned and they have the yellowish light, but they're actually LEDs. So maybe there's an opportunity to blend what works, but keep it relevant and keep it moving in the right direction. All right, so there is this sort of question of invention versus innovation. And this is where Edison, and we look at other companies that have done this, including major technology companies. So for instance, both Apple and Microsoft took technologies that worked for one or the other and made them mainstream. Like a lot of the Macintosh operating system, it was based on Xerox PARC's work. Apple met with them, they licensed that, they gave them some shares in their stocks, and then they took what was part of the Palo Alto machine or something, and then made it into the Apple Lisa, which then became the Macintosh. A lot of what Apple did with their GUI, then Microsoft took and put into Windows 95 at the time. So everybody's inspired by everyone else. Everyone has their own sort of takes on things, and it's really about innovation and putting your stamp on it. So everything in life, there's a little bit of derivative nature to it, because we're inspired by what we learn and what we see. And the importance for you is how can you take something and bring it to the next level. I like the Ace of Wands for this because it's about carrying on the baton, not copying and not sort of stealing. That is not it here at all, but it is sort of taking something and improving upon it, and then hopefully bringing that to a larger audience. You have a chance to do that this month. You have a chance to elevate something. So don't be afraid to explore new things. All ideas have room for growth. Trial and error is a part of that. Research and development. Two heads are probably better than one. It'll be great to bring in an editor. It'll be great to bring in someone to work on it with you. Because we're talking about examples of people taking work and then bringing it to another level, and not always those original people getting credit, make sure credit is given where credit is due. Make sure that if you are participating and collaborating with someone, that you have that credit byline as well, because there's a chance for something to go big. And we want to make sure that you are able to expand with that opportunity. Don't rush. A lot of times, if you're creative or if you're just in a standard job, a boss, someone that's overseeing you, a manager, etc., may rush you to get to the finish line. It wasn't about who finished first when we looked at the example of the light bulb. It was about who could make it commercial, who could make it the best possible at the time, and that was the person then that was recognized. So get out of the gate great the first time. Don't kind of like fall on your face because someone's pushing you to rush something that isn't done in your life. This is also true of, I'm going to be doing something next, I believe it's next Tuesday. I'm doing a special sort of pride themed show on, being the authentic you. Part of being authentic, part of coming out, part of discussing things that are key to you is that you have to believe and accept in whatever it is that you want to say before delivering it. And that's like a little sneak peek of a key theme of that. If you don't believe it, if you aren't okay with something, whether it's a product, whether it's you coming out, whether it's someone that you want to work with or whatever, they're going to be able to pick up on that. And that's going to probably cause things to crumble. So you should feel excited about something before you share it with the world. And kind of slice that up however you will in your life, but make sure that you're at that point, because if you're not, it's too soon. So take your time. There's a lot of things to kind of unpackage with this, but hopefully it's helping you see that the one sort of elephant in the room here would be like the Four of Pentacles, holding on to the past, being overly conservative, even the Hierophant, overly conservative and incapable of sort of like breaking through and trying new things. So as long as you're open, willing to work with people, yes, protecting your intellectual property, your ideas, your contributions, you should come out at the sort of like head of the line here. And it isn't about finishing first, it's about finishing with the best possible product, idea, innovation, etc. Okay? Don't get defensive. One thing that just came to me as I was putting everything together this morning was to be willing to sort of share. And this is hard. It's kind of, think of people in your life that may not have a lot of experience with maybe being in a partnership, having siblings, or sort of having these sort of collaborative or cooperative energy. So the test for you and for people that are kind of less comfortable with sharing the spotlight is that it's going to be okay. Like, there isn't a person that's necessarily right or wrong here. This is a cooperative energy. So before you get on the defensive, ask what's being said. Clarify, wait, I'm hearing it this way. Is that your intention? Because it's coming across combative or overly critical. If you actually say words like that in a sort of calm voice, just say, is this meant to be as critical as it's sounding? Or is there something else you're trying to say? Or, am I missing something? Because if they're saying, no, yes, I'm being critical, then you can get in your Seven of Wands stance and say, okay, let me just explain where I came from before we completely tear this apart, because you may have missed something too. Both parties get a chance to talk. Don't be afraid to say, let me finish, and make sure that they get a chance to finish as well. Ask questions, be curious, be inquisitive, get to the bottom of something before you jump into the reaction, because the reaction may be based on an assumption that isn't correct, and vice versa. If someone jumps in and puts you on the defensive, or you're putting them on the defensive, just make sure that both sides are getting a chance to validate expectations and assumptions, okay? Because that could completely resolve whatever is causing one or the other to kind of go up in that sort of protective stance, okay? Change promotes growth. It's necessary for growth. And we think, if we kind of take it to the metaphor of pruning a rose bush, for instance, if you don't prune a rose, it gets sort of like unwieldy. It doesn't flower as much. It can even kind of get top heavy. When you prune it, it actually promotes healthy growth, new shoots, blooming. So cutting away some of the dead wood, taking away some of the unnecessary stuff, and changing and moving, you can still keep the core of something, but then allow for new and healthier growth to happen. It keeps you inspired, it keeps other people engaged and on their feet. And as long as you're willing to stay open and try something new, then new experiences find their way to you. When you stop, when you stagnate, which is like the death card in reverse, then basically it gets harder and harder for you and your ideas and whatever you're working on or with to stay relevant. So the Seven of Cups can be very positive in the way that it's just saying, well, let me think about it. And that's really what you see the person doing here. They're saying, well, maybe a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We'll pull these down and see where they go. Just stay open this month. I think that's going to be one of the most important things as we're moving forward. All right. And now talking a little bit about security and confidence. One of the things that I did see here was basically that there, again, it was a house that was unprotected. All the doors were wide open and there were no lights on. So what I think is going to be important here is to take care of the sort of rainy day option. Make sure that you have a safety net underneath you. That might be literal insurance. It could be saving money to make sure that you can pay for things if you had to take time off, or if you're sick, or if you own a house, for instance, you want that contingency money in case you have to pay the plumber or buy a new roof or whatever it is. So get that sort of extra padding covered before you make any big decision or move. Work, of course, on your own self-confidence and make sure that you believe in yourself, something that I was talking about a couple of slides ago, particularly when you present an idea. And remember that you have the power to make this work. I love Queen of Pentacles. I love Queen of Wands because Queen of Wands is innovative and bossy. The Queen of Pentacles is developmental. She can take something and breathe life into it. When you have the security and confidence to state what it is that you want in your life, then people think, you know what you're talking about. I want to be a part of this, and they'll help you get the resources you need. So the resourcefulness of the Queen of Pentacles is why I chose her here, but she has to believe. Because if she doesn't believe, then other people won't invest in her belief, in her sort of like energy. So your confidence and security in what you have to say is just as important as locking the doors or having a rainy day fund. But by the way, take a look at legitimate things like your security systems, your insurance policies, and like I said, a contingency or a financial padding to make sure that you have something extra for the future. Speaking of knowing what you want, I pulled the Queen of Swords here for a visual representation of this, but she comes through because she is concise, she is clear, and she gets in and out of a situation without a lot of sugarcoating. And I was shown a menu that just had pages and pages, and there was like no point of view. And it was confusing. So if you've ever been to a restaurant where the menu never stops, you sometimes wonder, like, where am I? Do they know what they're doing in the kitchen? Because it doesn't have a sort of cohesive view. I don't know what I'm getting when I come here. So people want to know what you're serving up in life when they're talking to you. Can they depend upon you? Do you know who you are? Do you know what you want? Do you know who they are? Are you a straight shooter? Because being able to be concise and clear and be very sort of decisive will put you in a good light this month. So you may need to take some time, if we go back a slide or two, and explore the options. So research being part of development. Research is exploring the options in front of you. Trial and error. Innovation, which we talked about a few slides ago. So take an idea, expand upon the idea. Don't get defensive if people come in with criticism. Keep exploring and looking at different points of view. Remember that you're important. You have something to offer here. And say what it is that you have to offer. All of these slides work together when we kind of put them side by side by side. Okay? So I actually feel like there's a lot of opportunities that are kind of making themselves available to you. And the question is, what do you want? Where do you stand? And how do you feel about other people kind of coming into your life to help you out? The more you can collaborate and cooperate, the more that is going to kind of come your way. Okay? So let's get ready for the main part of the reading here. Before we begin, just a reminder, if you enjoy what you see here and you would like to be sort of kept in the loop here, make sure that you subscribe. It's absolutely free, and if you happen to catch one of my lives, it gives you an opportunity to chat. You have to be a subscriber to chat. We're very close to a milestone here, so when I hit 325,000, I'll do a Q&A. So we're very, very close. Probably within a month, I'll be able to do that, and I'll announce it when we get closer. Hit the bell if you want to get all notifications. You can also follow me on social media. Usually the day of or the day before, I will tweet a reminder so that you don't miss any of my readings. So, and I also put the story reminders in always, so that's a great way to stay in touch. And if you'd like to give back in real time, make sure that you use the Super Chat feature or become a member. Just a warning, someone on Twitter the other day was impersonating me. It seems like they take turns on different platforms. I will never contact you through direct message or comments and offer a reading or ask for contributions. The only way that you show support is here through YouTube or through my website using the patron section. So be mindful, be smart. And someone tweeted me and said, "Is it you?" And it was not, and we shut that account down. So please do remember that I don't offer private readings, and the only way that you can contribute is through here or through my website. Okay, and speaking of my website, if you want to see my live schedule, here it is. All right, let's get into the reading, and I always like to give you a chance to vote on the cards that we're going to use if I have time, and we have time today. So let's do that. I'm going to just go over to the side here where I keep all my cards and pull a few that are calling to me. I actually thought this morning of Haven't used this one in a bit, so maybe the sun and moon, because it's beautiful energy. Let's see what else is calling to me. Let's see. Wild Unknown has been pretty popular lately. See, Wild Wood as well. Oh, I also thought of Druidcraft today. I might do that for a change of pace. Okay, and here's another one called Druidcraft. Haven't used that in a minute or two. All right, so let me get the poll set up and you can vote on what you'd like to see. Okay. So let's see what we're doing here. Okay, so I tried to pick a couple of options, particularly this one. I haven't used this one in a little bit, but we have sun and moon. Hold off on typing anything. You'll have a chance to vote on it in just a moment. Sun and moon, Wild Unknown, Wild Wood, and Druidcraft. I wanted to kind of go for just very earthy energies for you today, beautiful sort of nature-based things. So let's take a look at each of these while you're voting so you can see what you're voting on. Option number 1 is Sun and Moon. It's a beautiful deck. Just really soft imagery. A lot of times I use this with people that aren't super comfortable with tarot. As you can see, like it's just very welcoming and very friendly. Of course, it's going to have a lot of lunar energy in it because it's the sun and moon. This is a nature-based one. You can already see it. Instead of people, you're going to see a lot of animals when we look at all of the court cards. And it's a beautiful blend of black and white with a few spots of color. So that's option 2. Option 3 is going to also be, there's a theme today. This is going to have all nature-based stuff. So it's kind of like this one, but instead of sort of more the sketching approach that you see here, this is more illustrated. And it has a few unique takes. Neither of these two decks are straight Rider-Waite-Smith derivatives. This one's actually a blend of both Rider-Waite-Smith and the Thoth deck, which are the two main ones that are out there for tarot readers. And then this one, it's very large, beautiful colors, and it's Druidcraft, so you're going to have a lot of beautiful green energy here, earthy energy, and this is the only one that kind of features prominently a lot of people and everything. Except maybe the first. All right, so those are your choices today. Again, Sun and Moon, Wild Wood, Wild Unknown, and Druidcraft. Looks like Druidcraft is winning, which is really cool. I haven't used that in the longest time. So I'm going to put the other cards back and we'll see if that one stays in the lead. And let's see. Druidcraft, basically got 42% of the vote. So thank you everybody for voting. I appreciate that. All right, let's get started. Again, Cancer, Sun, Rising, Moon. This is for you, and Venus as well. Any aspect of your chart. In just a few moments, again, we're going to be taking a look at the main Celtic Cross, and later today, we'll look at those specific aspects of your chart, Sun, Rising, and Moon. Right, we had a few here that just volunteered, so we're going to start off with these two. All right, let me just get my camera set up because we're going to have to zoom out a little bit for this particular deck. It is beautiful, but it is a little bit larger. Nice for all of you, though, because you're able to see the cards even better. It's a beautiful deck, isn't it? It's really just beautiful and inviting and green. Lots of heart-centric energy there as well. I don't know who's asking if they could see them. We actually did go through all of the decks and what they look like, so. If you're having trouble seeing this, then just refresh your computer because it should be visible. All right, let me get the expanded forecast here and we'll get started. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully you've had a great week so far. I'm looking forward to seeing how all of this kind of looks for the month ahead for you. Good to see people from all over the globe. Thanks for letting me know from where you're tuning in. I'm glad that some of you in Australia are able to enjoy this different time. Australia, New Zealand, etc. It's a better time. It's still late at night, I know, for you, but thank you for joining and staying up. For me, it's a little challenging, but again, I'm going to have to do this for probably another month or so until I can find a new place or until the construction ends. So thank you for your flexibility. All right. That out of the way, let's get into your channeled message, or not the channel message, but the catalyst card this month. We have Lord Ganesh coming through with capacity to love. And isn't this always one of the most challenging things in life sometimes, is sometimes the capacity to love ourselves. Let's start there, because a lot of times readers are always focusing on your person. I think your person starts with you. So it sounds weird because I'm talking about acceptance, not narcissism. I'm talking about looking at the mirror and thinking, I accept, I celebrate, and I know the person that I am. And she or he is more than enough. And so really looking at that and saying, someone else would be very lucky to have me as a partner in their life, whether it's friendship, love, work, or anything. So I think when I look at capacity to love, I begin with the capacity to love and accept yourself. We enter this world as a little baby capable of doing that. Oftentimes, depending on environment of society, family, or school, we are stripped of some of that capacity. And so one of the things that you're being reminded of is that you already had it to come into this planet. So all you have to do is reclaim that capacity to love yourself, and then show your capacity to love others as well, especially those who are not being supported, or those who are underprivileged or underrepresented or marginalized. So this capacity to love is not just about, yes, you're going to have an opportunity to love. That's part of it, but it's not just that. It starts with being able to receive it, and by being able to love yourself, you open yourself to receive it. But if you're incapable or not ready to love and accept yourself, then you're pushing back what the universe wants to give you, which could be new partnership and new love. So yes, love is coming your way. But the important piece, the prequel to your love, is self-acceptance and self-love. Okay? So I think that is so important. I just want you to kind of like, here's kind of like your homework if you want to do it. I want you to, after the reading today, write down something that you're really grateful about yourself or your life. A gratitude journal. If you could do that maybe for a week, even just a work week, I'll take 5 days. So maybe like Monday through Friday, 1 week. Or today, we're on a Thursday to next Thursday, do a 7-day one if you want to. But for 1 week, just keep track of something each day that you're grateful of in your life. It could be a friend. It could be something that you're capable of doing. It would be better if it's something about you that you give to others. So maybe it's your sense of humor. Maybe it's your capacity to not let something get you down, and that you're perseverant, you're stubborn or whatever. But think of aspects of your life like that. You can also go really simple and say, I'm glad that I have free will. I'm glad that I have the capacity to take care of my basic needs without assistance if you can. Or I'm glad that I have someone to help me if you can't. So whatever it is, gratitude begins with simple things, and then it can go much bigger. So start a gratitude journal, and then also, maybe if you're willing to do this, you can write down, I am ready to love. I am deserving of that love. I have the capacity to give love. Someone would be lucky to have that love. Write these sort of affirmative thoughts in your journal as well, because that tells the universe you are ready. So writing it, speaking it, feeling it, you have to kind of do all of these things to really embody it. And I think that's the opportunity for you. All right, let's look at the cards now and see how this is going to play out in the next 6 to 8 weeks. We have these two volunteered. It was the Three of Wands and the Seven of Pentacles. Because they just kind of flew out, I'll read the first one as the first one, but they are very kind of like cooperative energies. So I'm not going to take one as better than the other one. I will say, though, that I love the Three of Wands because it shows that not only is whatever it is that you're seeking closer to you, but it's probably already underway. So if you're dreaming of something, a new job, a new friendship, a new opportunity, someone else is doing the same thing. They're waiting for the right person to cross their path. They're very picky. If you're trying to find an apartment or a house, there could be someone that's trying to sell it to the right person as well. So whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, there's someone else that's trying to attract as well. So it's more about meeting that opportunity midway across the field and not being afraid to look right in front of you. There may be something right in front of you. Once you start upon a path, we see rapid growth taking place as well. This is one of the more beautiful Three of Wands. The traditional one shows you a person looking at ships coming in. Here we see a gardener, a cosmic gardener, and we see that the fruits of their labor are already taking root, already taking shape. Sometimes we just have to be aware and willing and ready to kind of look in a different direction to see where that growth is taking place. Crossing this card is the Seven of Pentacles. The one thing that is tricky about the Seven of Pentacles is patience. Seven of Pentacles comes once we're ready to repair, regrow, renew. It can be financially, it can be physically, it can be emotionally, but it does take time. And we see this person here pruning away something, and it's going to take time for that to heal and regrow. Now, a lot of times the Seven of Pentacles can indicate a test from the universe where someone may come through and expect too much, where you may be tempted to dig into your resources and spread them too thin. So what we see underneath this were basically three little plants or trees that want to grow. You need to take your resources and make sure that everything that you're trying to nurture has what it needs. Try not to say yes to everyone. Saying no ensures growth. And this is something that we're not necessarily taught in school, and we're not necessarily taught by our parents. Sometimes we're just saying, like, we're told to do as we say. Sorry, let me restate this. We're told by others to do as they say. And what we have to realize is that you have the right to ask questions, to push back, to not do as others say, to do as you need to do, basically to tune in to what's right. And what's right isn't always what's popular, but it is what's going to be necessary to create, to foster, and to encourage the growth that you see here. So know when enough is enough, know what your limits are, know your budget, know your boundaries. And those boundaries could be tested with the Seven of Pentacles this month. I always like to look at the Seven of Pentacles as a positive. So you know what not to do, so don't do it. And once you get past that, all the rest of the Pentacles suit are fantastic. Eight of Pentacles is you've learned a lesson and you're delivering and you're growing and you're getting a lot out of an experience. The Nine of Pentacles is independence, sustainability, being able to have more than enough. And the Ten of Pentacles is a breakthrough. It's the end of a phase. It's the beginning of something big. It can also show partnership or marriage or something great. So you're right on the verge of all of these things: knowledge and expansion, independence, and then partnership. Interesting that independence comes before partnership. You have to be the Nine of Pentacles before you're in the partner Ten of Pentacles. So you're kind of being tested right now to show that you can do this. And I believe that you can. And once you believe that you can, it will all come into focus. We have the Magician card here in the Deep Past, which is supporting what we just talked about. The Magician is the can-do card of tarot. Yes, I can do that. I can do more than you give me credit for, is basically what this card tells you when you're looking at it. It's the Jack of all trades. You see all of the different elements represented here, from swords and pentacles and cups to wands. It's all there. Now, the important thing with the magician is it knows when and where to use these particular skills. And I would say the magician knows his swim lane as well. So you may specialize in one area and have a lot of other general interests or skills. It's not about trying to pretend that you're something that you're not. It's about bringing the best of these skills into the moment and showing people that you understand the big picture. This is a limitless card. You can basically do anything you put your mind to as long as you're focused. And magic only works if you believe in it. I mean, ostensibly it could work if you don't, but it's not going to be as effective. Faith and hope and belief are the fuel behind the sort of ability to sort of accomplish things that you would see with someone. We just talked about an inventor or developer like Edison. If you think of your favorite sports hero that maybe has won an Olympic award or something like that, part of it was the hard work. They sat there and they invested in their future. The other part is this intangible piece, which is maybe there was a lot of other people that were younger or faster or whatever, or more privileged than they were, but this person decided, I'm going to be the one that stands on that podium, and I'm going to do whatever it takes. And it's that extra push during the event, the sports event, that makes them go to the finish line. And so that's the hope, the faith, and the sort of inner fire that is one of the elements here, the wand that he's holding. And the magician would hold a wand. So you're going to take that inspiration and bring it and manifest it. So it's the belief and it's the hope and it's the faith that gets you further ahead. So I wrote in my own sort of fiction book here that I believe that magic is just a new truth waiting to be discovered. So we look at what I'm doing here. And thank God I can do it in the open. Maybe 100 years ago, there would have been I would have been on trial for like being a witch or something. All I'm doing is working with energy, and I'm using totems and signs and signals and my own sort of energy to kind of understand what's possible. And we all have that capacity. And once we unlock the key to that, this won't seem so fantastic. It's something we can all do. And the more you work on it, the better it gets, like anything. So I think that magic is just a big word to show something that inspires us, something that we don't understand but we want to, and something that makes life worth living. So what's magical to you? That's something that you could journal about too. What gets you up and kind of energetically pulls you in a direction that you didn't expect? That's where you should be focusing your energy. If you're putting it into stuff that doesn't inspire you, you're wasting your magic, basically. Okay? And I don't want you to do that because you got too much to offer. All right, we have the Queen of Cups here, and she is coming through to remind you to be happy, to be passionate, to really connect. It's a nice sort of re-emphasis of everything that we just talked about. I would also say with this that if you're ready for love and relationships, I see a few things here. We're going to just look at everything real fast here. I will go much deeper into love in just a moment. So many of you are working through an old love and healing that, because we have the Queen of Cups, which is love. We have 3 of Swords and 7 of Swords. So for some of you, there's this sort of, your faith is being tested. Your ability to sort of love again is being tested. So what I would say, without getting too deep into that, because I do a separate section in just a few minutes here, always leave the door open to love again or to feel that sense of passion again in your life, because you can do it if you want to. We've got the 6 of Wands up there. So give your heart permission to soar, give yourself permission to be happy. And this is you, Cancer, Queen of Cups. You should feel like this is your time in life, not just your month, but this is your chance, this is your opportunity. I love that she's not afraid in this card. We have the moon right above the chalice, right? So the moon represents hopes and opportunities and intuition, the higher energies of it, not the fear or the anxiety. So, and she also has, 1 foot in the water, it looks like. So some of you, it's just about taking the first step towards happiness. This is your month to take a step in the right direction. And that's what we're going to try to frame up this Celtic Cross to help you do. In the crowning position, we have the 6 of Wands. Ultimately, this portends success. It's one of the best cards that you could have in almost any position. It's never going to be a bad card, and it's never going to be positioned poorly. And it's also upright, which means that it carries the positive connotations. Sometimes in the reverse, it can be peer pressure, but in the upright, it's positive. The only thing that I can look at with this and say, don't let it go to your head, two things. Don't let success, rapid success, go to your head, and don't let the fear of failure or the desire to succeed hold you back from taking a risk, because this is putting success above all else based on the position in the spread. So I like it if you're career or success or sort of task oriented, but that shouldn't supersede happiness, which we see here with the Three of Swords reversed, and it shouldn't hold you back, and it shouldn't kind of take you away from doing something that feels right. So you have succeeded before, you have the capacity to succeed again. Don't let success be the only measure of your happiness and your accomplishments in life, because this is sort of like external recognition. Sometimes that recognition happens way later. So a fun example of that being, I'm sure many of you, because it's kind of magical and fun and fantastical, have watched Stranger Things. And I'm not going to spoil anything on season 4. I would just say I enjoy what I see so far. But Kate Bush's song, Running Up That Hill, played a prominent role in the episodes that have been delivered so far. In the United States, she's never had a top 10. She's had a top 40 hit, but never a top 10. And I think that was released in the 80s. So it took a very long time for her to get recognition for a song I've loved a long time. She's a great artist. And I know in the UK, she's had plenty of top 10 hits. But the US audience is a little bit behind the curve on that one. So because of this new series that came out, all of a sudden she's in the top 10 again, which I think is so cool for people that are creating something. Recognition happens years or decades after sometimes what you do. That doesn't mean that suddenly this song is good. It means it's always been good and it's just getting recognition now, here in the States anyway. Again, way past, it should have had like a top 10 in the 80s, but what's cool is it still sounds fresh and new, and it fit in with the series very well. So that's an example of success not really being important. Part of the reason her music's good is she really didn't care about commercial success that much. She's more kind of artistic and creative and does things that sometimes aren't understood in the time that they're released. The same way like David Bowie did the same sort of thing where his music was way out there, or Prince. There's a lot of artists that just, they follow their own muse. So follow your muse. You never know when that's going to hit. So that's my message there, and that's a common example here in everyday to kind of help you see how this doesn't always matter. Okay? All right. So the next piece that we're looking at here is the Three of Swords, and this is in the near future. Now, Three of Swords reversed is a lessening of disappointment, preparation for good news on the horizon. But what it is healing of the heart as well. It's saying, I'm finally ready to let this go. It doesn't always happen easily or immediately. And as someone who has just kind of been through processing grief, I can speak more like fresh to this experience. But what happens is that one day you just wake up and it's not the first thing on your mind, right? You have maybe even have gone through half the day, and then you're like, oh, well, okay, I'm still processing that, but it's no longer the prominent thing in my life, right? So this could be the loss of a job. This could be the loss of a relationship. This could be the loss of a loved one. It could also be a disappointment. You applied to a school and you got rejected. Rejection and loss hit in very similar ways, and grief as well. Initially, it hurts, but gradually, like a cut, the scar, lessons and lessons, and it may always be a part of you, but it's not going to be the prominent thing that you or others see. So what I see for you is a lessening of something significant that was agitating or upsetting or disappointing you. Now you're feeling like, I think I've got this. I think I've got this under control. And you're putting your mind and energy on something maybe more important. So if we were to look at this as a very good placement of Six of Wands, you would say, this holds me back from this. Grief, sadness, disappointment holds me back from success and moving further than I could possibly move if I keep this as the central focus. So it's getting better. Three of Swords reversed is easing. It's not disappearance. It's not complete fading of something, but it's getting easier. And it's also saying, I deserve to be happy, which, by the way, you do. It is your divine right to have joy in your life. It's your divine right to grow and to heal. We come on this planet not to experience pain, but to release old karma, to learn new lessons, and to hopefully get some more love and joy in this experience as we go through the days and years of our lives. Okay? Let's go ahead now and take a look at what's coming through for you. This is your heart and soul. We have the Four of Cups. It's reversed. Could be a blessing in disguise. Could be a missed opportunity. So we can see in this illustration that it's just out of view. And I think it's a nice pairing to the Three of Wands, which is growing right by him, but he's not necessarily looking at it, right? So we want to be mindful of what's presenting itself to us, whether it's a job, a relationship, or some other opportunity. It's coming in a place you wouldn't be normally looking for it to come. So we have that hidden cup floating up in the sky, or here neatly placed. And this person is thinking, I don't know, it's never going to happen, is it? So Four of Cups actually has a few connotations. One is that doubt or lack of vision in the face of an opportunity, which then closes the door on the opportunity. It can also be the grass is always greener, missing that your life is rich, and maybe someone else appears to be in a better state of mind, state of being, maybe even social status than you. But if you were to put yourself there, it's not all that it's chopped up to be here. So be great. This is why the gratitude journal that we talked about a little bit earlier could be really effective. It will help you see what you have. And in helping you see what you have, then you'll be able to really embrace opportunities. Look around, tune in, try new things. I'm not talking just about a menu on at a restaurant. I'm talking about trying new experiences in your life, because that's how you're going to discover what's right there. Okay? Now let's get to one of the trickier cards here. It's really the only one that to me comes through as something to be mindful of. This is healing as I'm reading it. The Three of Swords reversed is healing. It's not always a bad thing. When it's reversed and when it's in the near future, it shows me easing of pain, healing. We're going to focus on the heart in this one instead. Now, as we look at your environment, though, we have one that invariably you want to be mindful of. We have the Seven of Swords. So let's talk about the Seven of Swords. Typically, the Seven of Swords is somebody that's trying to get away with something, or someone that is being less than honest, or at its best, and it's the highest sort of view of the Seven of Swords, it could be either something that slipped your point of view. Here, the devil's in the details, right? So you signed something without looking at it. So you could have made a promise that you didn't know you were making, but now you're bound to keep. So contractual obligations. This happens a lot with, speaking of musicians, sometimes they sign away their royalties. Also writers, composers, sometimes they sign away too much and then they have to fight to get it back. So when signing a document, really read what it is that you're signing and make sure that you're not making a promise that you don't want to keep. Also, it can be about the little white lies that we tell to ourselves, which is, my diet starts tomorrow, or I'll take care of this eventually, or if they don't know it, it's not going to hurt them. And meanwhile, you're doing something that isn't putting someone else in the best possible situation. So be honest with yourself, be honest with others, and really take a look at what you're saying you're going to do. You want to be as honest as possible. Transparency is key. And if something was unfairly if you were forced to unfairly sign something away, fight for your right to get that back. There may be a loophole with that too. So here we see someone that's really trying to either ignore your request or, again, get you to sort of sign something that you shouldn't. So we're out of retrograde now. We're sort of in the shadow right now. But still, I would say this month, just be mindful of obligations and agreements. And because it's environmental, I think it's going to be something you can avoid. If it's not good enough or doesn't feel right, don't take it. As I'm looking at different places that I can live, I have to feel really excited about the place that I step into. And it has to hit a bunch of check marks. I haven't found it yet because I'm picky. And because I want a much better situation than where I'm at. It really matters that it's right. So don't settle for anything less than what you expect, okay? And that's what the Seven of Swords is all about. One last thing is that if you see someone that's trying to get away with something, you may be called to do the right thing. And it's hard sometimes because you might want to do what's popular, but you know it's not right. So that's sort of a challenge. That could be the only challenge here, is doing what's right sometimes is uncomfortable. But you're being asked to love yourself and asked to love others as well. So that's part of being kind to others. The Five of Pentacles is a part of the self-confidence that we were talking about and the security in your convictions and your vision. And this is in hopes and fears. So the one thing that some of you may be working with this month is the fear of rejection. What's really important, you have to look all the way in the background, but you can see like a hound hunting after a hare or a rabbit, it looks like. But there's a chase, there's something going on. The grief and the sort of inability to move means that someone else is going to get there before you. So you don't need the external validation. The whole Kate Bush example that I gave you is indicative of that. So just because someone didn't give you a thumbs up, a 5-star rating, the raise, the congratulations or the acknowledgement that you needed, does not mean that you are not doing a great job. It doesn't mean that you're not deserving of something. Usually the Five of Pentacles is a wound from the past. A parent, a loved one, a mentor that steps in and doesn't do what they're supposed to do. In fact, they may do the exact opposite. They hold us back. They insert this sort of doubt in our head or our heart, and then we have to heal it later. So if someone wasn't there the way you needed them, you have everything that's required to be the best you. And they came through to teach you that you didn't need them, even though that's not the most fun lesson. And maybe you wish that your parent, guardian, teacher could have been like someone else's, but that's not, you can't kind of like focus on history. You can focus on today. And today is something where you're going to choose to heal the past and say, well, I'm going to do this for myself then. And I'm going to do it for other people so that they can see the capacity that I always had, right? And now we have Hanged Man energy that's reversed. The Hanged Man, actually in its normal position, is a good card. This is basically saying, I'm being asked to pause in this moment in time. The universe has something better planned for me, and I need to soak everything in and really understand who I am, what I want, and then the path will be revealed. If we go to the traditional mythology of this, there was a sacrifice of time and energy for the secrets of the runes. Basically, Odin hung upside down for that. So he knew what he was getting into, and he stayed patient. So some of you are just, you want something to happen faster than it is. If you're not ready, willing, or prepared to kind of do the wait for this to happen, then maybe this isn't the best experience. Maybe you're not as ready as you should be. But perhaps all you have to do is give yourself a little bit more time and put in the magical elements that we talked about earlier: faith, hope, and then call it whatever you want. Maybe it's adrenaline. Maybe it's just this sort of like, what do you call it when you get a second breath or whatever? And all of a sudden, you're able to just get to the finish line. So there's a little bit of a momentary pause, but it's not going to be as bad as you think, and I still see success on the horizon for you. So be patient. Don't act hastily is what I would say with this. Be patient and ask yourself, maybe, what can I do with this extra bit of time that I have? That's not always the worst thing, right? A lot of us, when we were in the throes of the lockdown and pandemic, we're forced to reevaluate things, relationships and time and jobs and things like that. And sometimes we only do that when we have that extra time. So if you're being asked to pause, usually there's a reason for it, and you'll exit the pause stronger than when you entered it, okay? We're going to go into your expanded forecast now and look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. And each of these is multi-part, so I'll break down the different aspects of these messages as we go through them. Let's begin with your health card here. Your health card this month is the Miracle of Prayer or Positivity, Archangel Sandalphon, and it says, "Thank you for delivering my prayers." Really, we could sum this up with hope and faith. And you do not have to be a religious person to understand the power of hope. And in fact, if you look at any sort of revolution or war, the one thing that they want to kind of take away is hope, because you can't control hope. And hope can make a rebellion overthrow, a big army, because there's so much desire and so much push and so much sort of like fervor. So hope is powerful, and it doesn't matter whether it's based in fact or not. It's the fact that I believe and I hope that something can be better than it is, that I can actually manifest it. And that's where the magician comes in. So put your hopes and your intentions and your prayers out there, and then follow up with the elbow grease to see them through to fruition, okay? Some of you may need to talk to someone. So I look at this card, and it's a support card because we have an archangel. So talk to someone about your hopes and fears, and see what they can do to help you navigate them, because both of them can be very powerful. A fear can be just as powerful as a goal, and you have to figure out, what can I do about what I'm afraid of? A lot of times the fear is just showing you something you have to work on. But support is key, and hope and prayer and vision is key. Let's look at some other things for health in general. And standard disclaimer as I do this, sorry, wrong card here. Standard disclaimer, which is basically that I'm here to help you navigate opportunities and energy. I'm helping with tarot, and I'm helping with intuitive opportunities. But if you have anything going on in your mind or body, work with the proper professional for that. All right, looking now just at the cards for where your energy is taking you right now. Let's see what's going on here. I'm being drawn directly to the Three of Swords. Some of you are just super unhappy with something that you've been doing. So this can be, by the way, the reason that it's happening is the environment. So let's take this on a work level, even though we're looking at health. Health and wealth are intrinsically tied. If you're not happy with what you're doing, a lot of times that spills over into mental and physical health. So what I'm seeing here for some of you is that there's an issue with morale, or someone that's around you. They're not showing up the way that you want them to show up, and it's upsetting you. So this is permission to exit from that situation. Maybe they've gotten on your last nerve. This can be the straw that breaks the camel's back here with Hanged Man in reverse. I support this desire to exit if that's what you want to do, because enough is enough if there's been that sort of toxicity of environment. When we're looking at other energies this month, as I said earlier, you have the capacity to succeed. Remember, it's not about being first. It's about being the best possible you, or best possible product that you can be, or that the delivery of whatever it is that you're trying to do can be, and not rushing. Take your time and do what's right and do what's best. People aren't necessarily seeing, or maybe they don't know all that you have to offer. The magician, especially when coupled with the Four of Cups, has a couple of rabbits up his sleeve, and this is the month to pull the rabbits out, to show people like, yeah, I could always do this. One of the things and one of the reasons that I'm frustrated is you're not giving me a chance. So show them why they should pay attention to this skill or this passion, and give them a chance to do what's right. And if they still don't, then you can move on. Don't sell yourself short. Five of Pentacles when it comes to business is not enough. A lot of times the reason that we stay with the Five of Pentacles is because we've been told that we're not enough. We're not worth it. You are worth it. So don't work yourself into oblivion and not get the sort of support or resources that you deserve. Even if you operate not-for-profit companies, this isn't enough. We need Six of Pentacles. That's the bare minimum for success. Because with that, you have a little bit more than you need, and that gives you the capacity to make better decisions. This is just being like on the cutting edge here. So I feel like you need some more support in your life, some more resources. Other people need to come through. I think the reason you're exhausted here is other people aren't doing what they said they're supposed to do. So delegate, somehow illustrate like this, you agreed to do this. You may not want to, but you need to. This can be holding someone to being accountable. So maybe, they just thought they could get away with not doing their part, but this is saying, no, you have to do what you said you were going to do. Okay. And sometimes people haven't been taught to just follow through. Maybe their parents and teachers never showed them that it's important to say what you're going to do what you say you're going to do. So that's definitely a piece of this. I think those are the main themes that I'm picking up on here. Success is is actually within reach. It's closer than you think. It's already happening. But the resources are off a bit. You have a chance this month to actually go from the 5 to the 7. This is where fears and opportunities are, so we want to overcome that and grow and leapfrog past the 6 of Pentacles. So push back, say no to what you need to, and move on to greener pastures if you need to as well. Remember, hope is powerful, and you don't want to ever lose your hope or your perspective. All right, let's move on to wealth. So we have Chamber of the Violet Flame, Karmic Release, and Radical Transformation. Let's look at this beautiful illustration. That's a really nice illustration for the Violet Flame. Violet Flame energy is really cool, actually. I've done a couple of meditations here on the channel, and maybe with myself I've done a dozen. I don't use this energy all the time, but what's interesting is when I've connected with the Violet Flame, not only does it sort of help transmute whatever is causing pain or discomfort in your life, but it also helps on a physical level. Like sometimes I've been dealing with stress in my life, so that would be appropriate for where it's appearing here in work. But then it also goes into the body when I work with the Violet Flame. And like if you have TMJ, if you have neck and back pain, you can actually feel the warmth and the energy moving into that space and helping you physically and mentally get where you need to be. So there's a lot of meditations on YouTube and online that you can look at with the Violet Flame. Maybe we'll pull a little bit of it into our own meditation today, but it's a great healing energy. Saint Germain you can work with on that meditation, and we'll do that if you guys want me to today. But the most important piece of this one is the smaller caption beneath it. It says, Karmic Release, Radical Transformation. They might as well have given me the Death card or Judgment, or a meshing of the two, because that's what we see with the two of those. Death and Judgment are definitely karma, past life energy. Death and Judgment allow us to rise above and move beyond. They're doorway cards. So let's read your current your current career situation as a combination of that. I would say for many, or your health and wealth. So we're going to look at the two of these together, actually, because again, I feel like health and wealth are tied together, but we'll start it with the wealth because I'm in wealth. So Karmic Release and Transformation. The card's reversed. Some of you are stuck. You have a glass ceiling. You're not able to move above or beyond that glass ceiling. Some of you are not being able to sort of like express or explore all your talents. So you have to break through. You have to walk away from that. Karmic Release. Some of you entered into a situation at work, school, or extracurricular or volunteer in order to learn something from someone. Once that lesson's been learned, you don't have to stay. So we see an open door in front of you, and it's just asking you, are we done here? Only you can answer that question. The card, we can infer from the card that the lesson has been received and has been learned, but there has to be acceptance. That's why Judgment is an important piece. So have you learned what you needed to out of an experience? The reason that health and wealth are tied so closely is sometimes the toxicity of a situation then kind of hits us on our physical level. And sometimes we end up, again, sort of not healing in the way that we need to. So I think that when you clean up whatever it is that you're doing in your finances or your work, your health also just flourishes in a lovely way. Both of them are affecting the heart center this month. So some of you are just unhappy, and some of you might actually be having things like hypertension, blood pressure, cholesterol, or other things flaring up because of the stress. So it's almost impossible this month for me to pull these two apart because they're tied together pretty tightly. So make sure that you are working on stress management and doing something to bring more happiness and satisfaction in your life. That's part of this next journey. And it does feel to me like you've graduated. You may not realize that you've graduated yet, but you've graduated from a relationship, a job experience, or some sort of a karmic connection. When the karma is released, you're released too. You're free to move on, okay? You've waited long enough for something to happen, and this is the final test. Here's what I would say for you. This should happen in a month. If whatever it is that you're waiting for doesn't happen in a month's time, I do think it's time to move on. I do see like a light at the end of the tunnel. There should be an indication within the next 3 weeks of something, and if not, then that is your indication that you can move on. But give it a couple of weeks more, and then you know that you've done everything that you've needed to, and you've heeded the warning of today's reading, which is, I'm not going to rush. I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to look at everything. I'm going to make sure that no leaf has been unturned. And once I've done that, I'm free and I'm ready and I'm fully prepared to move forward. I actually think the most important thing is if you were to talk to someone and they asked you, what do you want? Where do you stand? Are you ready? Are you sure that you can answer all of those without a shadow of doubt? Like, yes, I'm ready. Yes, I'm sure. And this is what I want. Yes, I'm sure this is what I want. So what do you want? And are you sure that's what you want? And be ready for someone to ask you those two things. And be ready to say yes. And once you have a yes in your head, you can do it. The hanged man is waiting for you to get the yes. So how long this hanged man sticks around is solely up to you and your acceptance, the judgment energy, which I was talking about. I've been out of my traditional job for a long time, but I've told this piece before and it fits for this. But when I quit, I had to say what I just told you. Yes, this is what I want, about 4 times. I had to say it to my manager, to the manager above that manager, to the vice president of the division, and to human resources, because I was doing a good job and I'd been working there for a long time. And I also had been through a lot of stress lately. They wanted to make sure that I was in my right mind. I was in my right mind. I was more sane then than I had been in a long time, actually. And so that's how I had to say it. I said, I'm absolutely sure this is something I've been wanting to do for a while. Thank you for giving me the freedom to do it and trusting in my capacity to make a decision. You have to like really be ready to say it. And once I said that and they knew it and they saw it and they read my energy, they were like, okay, we weren't ready to let you go until you were absolutely, you had to convince me, basically. So be ready to do that. Be ready to stand in your conviction, and then you're smooth sailing after that, okay? And then it should get easier after that too for you. Other doors will open more quickly. You may have outstayed your welcome or stayed too long, and pulling up those roots takes a while, okay? Yeah, I'm glad I did it too. I don't have any regrets, and I'm not actually angry at where I worked. Like when you work in a corporation, when you kind of know what it's all about, right? When you're doing that kind of work. So I knew what I was in for, and I knew what I needed to do to get out of it, and it served a lesson. Karma. That's why I'm bringing it up. So once something has played its role, once it's sort of done what it needs to do, it doesn't have to stay there any longer. Okay? And that's your opportunity, because you can there's something better waiting for many of you on the horizon. All right, let's move on to love. Love is multi-part. Love is what we talked about earlier, your capacity to love yourself. Love is being in love or being partnered with somebody. It's also working with people and all of that. So we're going to look at it in 3 different energies. We're going to start off with those of you that are already in a relationship. This relationship can be love, or it can just be the most significant relationship in your life. Okay? So for those of you that are already partnered up, well, I really like that we have the 3 of Wands at the center, and I really like that we have a healing card, the 7 of Pentacles, on top of it. So this tells me that there's capacity for growth and improvement. There's a little bit of test going on, though, for current relationships. Something is going to come to light. This does not have to necessarily be the 2 of you. This could be a relative, or this could be someone around you, because it's environmental. It's not necessarily you two. But there's something that comes to light, and it's difficult to deal with because it was either not truthful or not true, or it was an outright sort of deception. And so the opportunity here is to support the partner when they're going through grief or disappointment. Someone or something has disappointed you or your partner, and now the other partner has to support the other because of that. So it's tricky. And then we have 2 recovery cards. The 5 of Pentacles, what this is doing for you or your partner is pulling open the wound from the past, which is why does this keep happening is the question from the Five of Pentacles. Why do people keep disappointing me or hurting me, or why am I not good enough for this to happen? It is in part an irrational sort of thing. It's coming through with the feeling that nobody cares, when the truth of the matter is someone's right there. And yes, people want the best for you. In the past, someone didn't, and in your environment, someone may not, but that does not indicate the whole landscape. So there's an opportunity in relationships to help the other partner see that they're stronger than this challenge. Your partnership may also sort of be tested as well. There could be stress that's running high here with the Three of Swords reversed. You may also be at a point where it's, again, we talked about the straw that broke the camel's back. Something big has happened. I'm looking at the crocodile here. I feel like someone opened their mouth and said something that they shouldn't have. And now you're dealing with repercussions here. So this can be easily healed with an I'm sorry or I love you, but these words cut deep. So for some of you, you have to figure out how you're going to navigate those waters, and they're tricky waters. Ultimately, if your head is in the right place and your heart is in the right place and you're patient, you can overcome this. But there are some hurt feelings and there's some honesty that needs to happen for many of you. If everything's easy peasy and there's no problems of any nature that we talked about, this could be a health issue that pops up. And this is also just about, again, not overextending resources or promises this month, because that'll end up coming back to bite you. So avoid saying yes if you don't really want to say yes. That's the most important thing here. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to focus on. We talked about the grass being always greener elsewhere. It's not. And that's one of the things that you'll realize over the course of this next 6 to 8 weeks, which is, people that put up a good show oftentimes are going through their own struggles and worries. And then you realize just how fortunate you are wherever you are in your life. So I do feel like a successful outcome can happen, but there is some stuff that you've got to talk about. So the more honest you can be, the better. If you're looking for love this month, I would actually say focus on self. Love is coming in. Love may even be right there next to you, ready to sort of extend its hand. But before you do that, make sure that you're happy. Make sure that you've done everything that you said you were going to do in your life. Practice that gratitude exercise that we had talked about, the gratitude journal. Heal the wounds from the past. And before jumping into this, be patient with yourself. Just sit where you are for one more step or two, and then focus on love. It is here. It is energetically, I would say it's within a month's reach for many of you. But this month, it feels like the energy is going to be better put into work and self-healing. You may meet this person once that's done in a public setting. Six of Wands is a very public card. So it could be at a party, at a convention, at just a random sort of grocery store, market, or something like that. But it's when you're out and about. So I don't feel like you have to go out seeking love right now. I feel like you want to work on healing yourself and really get ahead when it comes to your resources. And then you're going to be put in the right position here. I forgot to talk about this when it comes to money and work, but I would say renegotiate any contract if you need to, because I don't see a good offer on the table. For those of you that are looking at how partnerships will factor out, this is also a part of it. Negotiate what matters before you sign on the dotted line. If you're single and happy this month, it's a good time to be that. I really do feel like what I would be doing this month is healing old relationships, healing yourself, really focusing on work and school and finances and maybe the core relationship or friendship in your life, because many of you have that right there, right by you. So there's someone who loves you. There's someone who's supporting you. They'll help you through all of these other journeys and opportunities. But can you find love this month? Yes, but you have to figure out the healing first. I think the most important thing is healing and self-confidence and self-worth. Whenever I get the Five of Pentacles, those always come through. All right, let's move on to the Destiny card. We have the crocodile here. And know when to open your mouth, know when not to. One thing here is the crocodile and alligator. I've used both as totems before. But when they bite down on something, the force of that sort of jaw is amazing. I think, if I remember correctly, it's almost as if you were to take a car and put it at the top of one of the highest buildings and drop it down. It can smash something pretty quickly. So know that you have the capacity this month to really impact people with your communication skills. Use it to elevate, use it to really inspire. Don't use it to get in a way that you don't want to. So sometimes it's better to wait, to weigh your words. And if you need to speak, use the Queen of Swords or Queen or King of Swords as your guide, which is to speak and be brief and to be clear and to not say more than you need to. Because that's when you bite off more than you can chew or your words come back to haunt you. I like the crocodile as a totem, but I think it's something that you don't want to mess with. It's also a warning, like don't poke the bear, don't poke the crocodile. Don't mess with someone if you know that that's how they work too. Know your limits, know their limits, and I think that's going to be key. I do like the crocodile, though, being able to take people by surprise. And so using the element of surprise to show your power, to show your strength, could be very effective this month for you with that totem. Okay? All right. So let's take a look now at the big idea. The big idea is basically one card that can help you focus on possibilities. So we talked about healing being a big one. We talked about also being honest and transparent. Let's see if there's any guidance in either of those two areas coming through here in the cards. All right, so we have the Six of Cups in reverse. So the Six of Cups in reverse is a really beautiful energy. This is going back to the irreverent and innocent energy of childhood. And some of us miss that. It's sort of like, I wish I could just go back and have fun like I did when I was a kid. So the one thing that the Six of Cups reminds us of is the importance of having fun. And sometimes we need to connect with someone from the past who knew us before we got really serious, before we went down a certain path, who can keep it real. So connecting with childhood friends, siblings, or anyone from the past that support you and have that sort of fun energy, this would be great. You could also have an unexpected connection with someone where it just feels like, gosh, how have we not met before? The truth of the matter is, in another lifetime, you probably did. And what I see here is a karmic energy coming into your life. So a lot of the preparation work that we were looking at when I was taking a deeper dive into relationships is preparing you for that karmic relationship so that you can be on an even footing with that person, that you can recognize that this is something good and that you're not going to let fear, anxiety, or something else get in the way of embracing and having fun with that person. So I see a really cool partnership on the horizon for you. So do the work so that you're ready for that. Some of you just need to connect with an old friend. There could be some healing or words left unsaid that you want to sort of kind of close that loop so that, again, when you get into a future love or friend relationship, you're going to be able to do so free of that karma. Okay? And it could also just be waxing nostalgic for the past. So a lot of times we look at the past with rose-colored glasses. We forget the challenges. We forget some of the difficulties that we experienced in the past. So remember that as you're looking at the past through rose-colored glasses, that there were good days and there were not so good days, and there's going to be good days and there's going to be challenging days ahead. So don't forget to enjoy today. So I think one of the things that all of us would do differently if we could relive a day, a week, or a month of the past is we would just be very present, right? You would, let's say you were surrounded by people that aren't on the planet anymore. You would spend as much time with them as possible, and you would say, I love you, and you wouldn't get into any arguments. It would just be like the best use of that time. Give them an extra hug, say something more. You would listen to the music of the time a little bit more. Pay attention to what people were wearing. Pay attention to everything just a little bit more. There's no reason you can't do that right now. And imagine that a future you is coming in and looking at the situation and saying, is it really worth the argument with that person? Is it really worth working extra when you're giving up this time that you would be spending with that person? weighing all the options as if today had already happened and you were regretting not doing something. So don't have any regrets and don't take for granted something beautiful. Live with the energy of now, and that's really important, okay? I watched Stranger Things and then I started rewatching it because it took so long for this 4th series to come out. But anyway, I'm now like finished almost with the 2nd season and I'll rewatch the 3rd. But there was something in the 2nd season called Now Memories. One of the characters had something from the upside down connecting with them. But I actually like the idea of this now memory thing, which is that we're creating memories right now and it's sort of like this deja vu. And if we can realize the power that we have in the now, then we can do so much more with it. And you can really maximize the partnerships and the friendships, and you won't waste a moment. You won't waste a drop of time or a drop of energy or resources with somebody. And that's really what the 6 of Cups is saying. All right. We went way deeper in the big idea than I anticipated, but that's how I read. All right, we're going to go now and take a look at blessings and blocks. Self-explanatory. We're going to see what you should embrace and what you should avoid. All right, blessing, block. Looking at your blessing, we have the 9 of Wands. The 9 of Wands is reversed, but the 9 of Wands is one of the best cards that you can pull when it comes to being able to do something. It is not stopped at any cost. So normally we would see the bandage on the head. Here we see someone who has maybe sprained their, or had a fracture on their arm or something like that. Basically, it's saying, I am a survivor. I will survive, like that old disco song. And nothing is going to, I'm just quoting songs now. Nothing's going to stop me, right? So your ability to persevere, your ability to push through, connecting with that energy of hope and faith that we talked about earlier, equally as important on this one. Don't give up. Also another song, a great song, by the way, by Kate Bush. So don't give up on what is possible. You are closer to the finish line than you ever imagined. And all you need to do is see it through. And that's why I was saying, just give it a little bit of a chance. We have the Hanged Man in reverse, which can be rushing through. And the 9 of Wands is saying, not just yet. Let me finish what I set out to do. Also, let me finish what I said I was going to. If I was contractually put upon in an agreement that I have to do this, I'm going to make sure that I do that. Okay? So finish what you started. You will do it. And you have the capacity to do so better than anyone else around you. Okay? Now, as we take a look at your potential block, it's someone else coming in and saying, no, or I don't like it, or do it my way. And you're going to say to them, if you truly believe in what you're doing, no, I feel strong about this. The Lord, which is the Emperor in this particular deck, is also saying, it's sort of like you have to know when to fight, when to fold, when it's not worth the energy. So for some of you, if there's someone in your life that always puts their foot down, always says no, always rejects you, that's the universe reminding you that this is going to consistently be a dead end for you. Why are you doing it? You have the capacity to do it on your own if you want to. All right? They are taking the mantle as the one and only, but you have the same energy. It's more a chance for you to reclaim your power. So if you want to stand up to them, stand up to them. If you're tired of constantly fighting, find another path, find another way. Okay? But you have the capacity to do it. Don't let someone micromanage you. Don't accept the first no as the only no. This is more when we're talking about like trying to get a proposal approved or whatever it is. Like there's maybe another way. Now, if somebody in your life doesn't want to spend time or energy on you and they say no, these are no's worth taking. But when it comes to trying to get a goal accomplished in life or trying to accomplish something bigger, that's when we keep pushing. There's different blocks, but the blocks help lead us into a different path, okay? So that's what we see here for your blessing and your block. Let's move next into viewers and readers' choice. Now, we're going to take a look at some things that I think deserve a deeper dive, but you get to choose. Then I'm going to choose one for myself as well. One interesting thing before I even look at the reader's choice is a lot of times people will say no to you to see if you're willing to fight for your idea. So sometimes they just want to, or they'll ask you questions, be very inquisitive, and it's not because you don't have the right idea, it's because they want to make sure that you believe in it. It's kind of a test. So be willing to stand up for that test if you need to. All right, give me a moment here to put your poll together. Resource management is one of the first things that I'm looking at. And I think a part of this resource management, it's kind of 2 in 1, but it's saying no, or how to say no. And then keeping hope, keeping faith / hope, where to look. And then, let's see, I'm just running out of space on this one. And then I think the last one that you can vote on here, and then I'll choose one here, is, let's see. Overcoming the sadness here. And I was just looking at the blessings in abundance. I didn't highlight this one as much as I should have when I was looking at love, because this was a love card. So I'm going to ask, what's the hidden blessing for some of you? Just because, and that also hits nicely with the 4 of Cups. So what's the hidden blessing? All right, I'll give you a chance to look at all of those and vote on them. And while you're voting on those choices, what I'd like to look at here, let's see, if we just take a look at what's in front of us. The one to me that seems the most compelling, I really want to see what the chance is for transformation, because we have this violet flame energy here that came through so releasing a karmic cycle and then transforming that energy. All right, so let's see what's coming through on that. What cycle wants to be sort of released? So what's the cycle and what's the growth opportunity? King of Swords, which is nicely in alignment with what we talked about earlier. All right, so I asked basically what's the cycle and what's the opportunity. So for many of you, finding and using your voice and also standing up for yourself the same way we were talking about that with the Lord or the Emperor card here. So it's not always easy saying your truth or standing up or doing something that you really feel that's important, but this is the time, this is the place, if there ever was a time and a place to do that. So when I look at this King of Swords, my question to you is, are you ready? And if you're not ready, what are you doing to get ready for that? He's really calling you to action, calling you to speak up, calling you to take action on something, and again, encouraging you to figure out, what is the hesitation? Why can't I do this? All right. So now is the time to act, and you are the agent of change. So rather than waiting for, the death card to come through, you basically are going to go through and change things. You're deciding to take the mantle and say, this doesn't work for me. This does work for me. I'd like this. It's really speaking your truth, opening up the throat chakra and really using it to its maximum. All right. So let's take a look and see what you wanted from me, and it's what's the hidden blessing. I'm glad I looked at the cards on the tables. We were doing that. All right. So in relationships, we were talking about a lot of different things that could be going on. Why are things the way they are right now for you? Especially if it's not feeling great. You're like, what have I done to deserve this? Why is this happening? So let's take a look at that. What's the hidden blessing in the potentially frustrating situation in front of you? This card kind of flew out. Princess of Pentacles, this is a good card to answer that question. So let's take a look at it and let's talk about it. All right, so again, What's the hidden blessing? So one of the things that I look at with this is you are able to see that you have something that you didn't anticipate having. We see this princess, again, which would be a page, looking at their inner worth and their potential to do things. So let's say someone walked out of your life and left you picking up the pieces. When that happens, you realize, I'm a better problem solver than I thought. I didn't panic. I fixed it. I guess I'm strong and I'm resourceful and I didn't need them. So the hidden blessing is self-worth, which was one of the issues that we picked up earlier. It could also be, sorry, the card flew off the table. It could also be that you were presented with an opportunity that was unexpected and you thrive in it as well. So the same thing happens. It's like, I didn't see myself in that way. It's almost as if she's looking at a portrait and seeing more beauty, more capacity, more power than she gave herself credit for. So some of you are pleasantly surprised. Some of you were forced to sort of discover this, but you're still pleasantly surprised. So what I see here is that you can do something you didn't think you could do. And you needed an uncomfortable situation, oftentimes brought about by someone that you love, rejection, absence, lack, or something of that nature, because you then stepped in and filled the void. If they were to never have let you down, walked away, passed away, stepped away, somehow left the space there for you to fill, you never would have been able to grow or see your potential. And that is the hidden blessing. You can and you will do it. And in retrospect, when looking back at this, your now memory, if you're willing to even see it now, is, wow, not only can I do it, could I do it, but I always have that potential. And I'm really going to savor the fact that I'm finding strength right now, because 5 or 10 years from now, I'm going to look back at this as a pivotal moment where I changed, where I became someone bigger, better, different, stronger, etc. And that's what I'm getting from that card. Okay? Beautiful energy, beautiful message. Let's step along into the next piece here, which is something new. So as of last month, I experimented with a new part of this reading, which was to put sun, rising, and moon messages. It seems to be pretty popular, so we're going to keep doing it. I reminded you at the beginning, you can use this for any aspect of your chart. So if you happen to know all of your placements, you can read any of my, or look at any of my readings and use it for that placement. If you happen to be Cancer Sun, Cancer Rising, or Cancer Moon, I'm going to help you fine-tune this overall reading with the next 3 cards. So let's go ahead and pull each card first, and then I'll break it down for you. Sun, Rising, Moon. We'll start off with Sun sign messages. So the Sun sign is 8 of Cups. 8 of Cups is one of my favorite cards because it represents almost, it's one of the nice moments in time where you don't have to make an immediate decision. So the 8 of Cups means that you can leave a bridge open. You don't have to kind of like burn a bridge, but it usually requires a little bit of time and distance. So for Cancer Sun, this is kind of the default reading for the sign. This is your personality. This is you. What you're needing right now is a little bit of space. So before you decide to move to the next juncture, the next appointment, the next relationship, etc., one thing that I would do is say, like, sleep on it. Take a week if you can, if you have that luxury, and really just sort of figure out, how did I get to where I'm at this moment in time? How do I feel about where I'm at? How does this match with where I pictured myself being? Where do I still want to go? Once you've answered those questions, you can come back to the place of deciding here in the 8 of Cups and then figure out what you want to do. So that's the powerful energy. It's sort of saying, I need some space. I'm very close to making a change, but I need to understand who I am first. 8 of Cups can also indicate a new cycle that's beginning in your life, and it's good. It's the only thing that can be a little frustrating with the 8 of Cups is it's sporadic. So in business, the 8 of Cups is the type of client or type of person that would come to you when they need to, but not in a predictable manner. Not like, cleaning your teeth every 6 months or going to the doctor once a year, or getting your hair cut every 4, 6, 8 weeks, depending on your hairstyle. This is someone who, when there's a significant shift in their life, this would be like a realtor would be filled with clients that are 8 of Cups. It's basically like, oh, I haven't seen you in 10 years. Now I want to sell the house. So it can be very long, or it can be sort of like on and off. Relationship, this can be hot and cold energy. So you're, seeing someone nonstop for a week, and then like 2 weeks go by and it's like, well, where did they go? So there's a little bit of a non-committal energy with it that can be annoying. It can also be a door that's left open that needs to be shut at some point for you to get forward. So maybe there's something that you didn't do and you need to finish it. Maybe there's a relationship and you've always held a flame for someone because you never ended it. You never heard the like, I don't want to see you, or that we're over sort of vibe, and you need that. So closure is the piece that's sometimes missing on this. So if you need closure, get closure. If you need space, get space. Otherwise, realize that you're creating a new cycle that will sporadically kind of put you into the next trajectory, but it's not always predictable, okay? So there may need to be other things in your life that you fill out, because this isn't going to be everything, whatever it is that you're looking at, okay? And that's the 8 of Cups, and that's the sun sign message. So moving now from Cancer Sun to Cancer Rising or Ascendant, here's your message for the Rising or Ascendant. First of all, rising and ascendant is how you project yourself. So sun is who you are. Rising is how you want to be seen. We have the 10 of Wands in reverse. So some of you this month are given an opportunity to be bossy or be pushy, because the reversal of this is sort of like saying, you better do this or else. It's a little bit of an ultimatum. So be mindful of when, sometimes ultimatums are very effective and very appropriate, but sometimes they can just be off-putting. So use it wisely if you're going to do that. If someone else is pushing you, you do not have to say yes to something just because they're speaking the loudest or threatening you. Now, the 10 of Wands is usually a very positive card. It shows that you're close to completion. Everything that I talked about earlier holds true for this, which is don't rush. Take your time. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, the 10 of Wands is a reminder that you can lean on others for support. Wands is one of the few suits that most of the cards are pretty good, actually. So you can remove a few and still be very successful. So let go of one of these and you still have the 9 of Wands, which is like, I can do anything. So you keep your independence, but you're not breaking your back. And that's kind of what it feels like with the 10 of Wands. 8 of Wands is everything is suddenly manageable. So you can give away a couple of things and now you can actually maintain. You can do a lot less and do it better by stepping into the 6 of Wands. So you can delegate a lot and then move into doing something really well. And instead of micromanaging, your energy is then in the sort of king or the emperor, which is oversight. So some of you are like, I don't want to do all of this. This is too much for me. And maybe it is. And in that sort of situation, you can delegate and be the leader, okay? So you have choices this month to not feel the pressure, to not push pressure on other people. And it really is about that sort of decision. How much do I want to take on? How much am I willing to let go of? And that's the key. The card is reversed, and it's a card that can affect the back. So some of you may be figuratively carrying a heavier load than you need to, or literally off balance. You're kind of putting your back into a position where there could be a slipped disc, a pulled muscle, etc. So be mindful of what kind of stress you're putting on your spinal health. Okay. Moving on to the moon, and basically the moon is things that we keep close. We may not even know ourselves until they're revealed. And a lot of times we don't want to share them with others just yet. A lot of times these actually come out in relationships as well. It's the secrets and also the secret powers. If you're a superhero, this would be the Superman to your Clark Kent, right? Or the Wonder Woman to your, what was her name in real life? I can't remember. You'll type it out. So Diane or something, right? But basically, we all have this sort of alter ego that we want to show to the world, but we can't quite yet get out there. So let's see what your alter ego wants to show. So we have the Queen of Wands in reverse. You are a born leader. You have this capacity to really show people how it's done, but maybe you've not been given the chance to do so. You also can be very stubborn. And this month in particular, there could be this stubbornness that's setting in. Don't be afraid to step to the front and to lead. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. If there is something that is really difficult for you to change or deal with, talk to someone about it. Try to keep an open mind, if you will, okay? But ultimately, I see your hidden power and hidden strength being leadership. And usually the Queen of Wands would have a black cat. Here we have like a tabby or something, and it's more domesticated. I would say for you, don't be afraid to show up exactly as you are and to show your magic and to show the sort of your ability to kind of like surprise people. So take people by surprise, use your voice, but use it wisely. Show your secret sort of boss power, and that's what wants to come through. Try to keep an open mind and also be open to the fact that people may embrace that this month. Okay? Now let's just double check and make sure that I've worked through all of the aspects of the reading. I believe I have. We went through channeled messages, the Celtic Cross, big idea, blessings and blocks, fear's choice. We just did the sun, rising, and moon messages. Let's go ahead now and take a look at your final question after we meditate. Before I get into any of that, a reminder that it's a perfect time to subscribe if you're new, or if you've been a long-time viewer and you haven't. It's free. We're close to a milestone. If we can hit another milestone, I'll do an extra Q&A. So let's hit that milestone together. Follow me on social media and share what you see here on social media as well. I love word of mouth, and that's like the best way that this channel grows. If you want to show a little bit of love and support, you can click this icon right next to the emojis there, and it's a way to give back. It's the little dollar sign. And you can also see my schedule on my website. All right, now for the next 2 parts of this reading, we're going to do a quick meditation. I'm going to use the violet flame for the meditation, and we're going to facilitate healing. Then we'll look at your final card. The final card is whatever question you might have for me that I haven't yet answered. So let's get set up. Close your eyes and see yourself let's actually imagine that it's a new day. So see yourself outside, sitting in an open field, watching the sun rise on the horizon. And there are rolling green hills in front of you. And as you look at all these beautiful green hills, you can see some of them kissed with flowers, some of them lined with trees. You might even see a city in the distance. But from here, it all kind of blends in, and you just see rolling hill after rolling hill. And at the very edge of all of this is the sun that is just starting to rise on the horizon. And as it does, all of these brilliant shades start to color the sky. And as is the case sometimes with a sunset and a sunrise, not just red and orange, but there is actually some different shades here. You see a little bit of blue, you see a little bit of indigo and violet. And one of those rays shines towards your heart, and you realize that you are in the presence of a violet flame, a ray from the violet flame. It almost is imperceptible as the sun starts to rise, but you can see this beautiful violet energy. And so with the sun protecting you and bringing in warmth and light, the violet ray that is now connecting to your heart is saying, I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to free myself of the shackles of fear, of doubt, and of uncertainty from the past. Close your eyes, open your heart. If you want to, you can even raise your hands towards the sky and say, just like a gigantic ace of cups, I'm ready to receive love, abundance, and wisdom of the highest light. Wisdom being key here, the wisdom to see things for what they are. You're actually becoming that 4th cup in the 4 of Cups. You're receiving the guidance to go down the path that you need to go down. And as you receive this guidance, there's a freeing power to it, and there's a healing power to it as well. Allow yourself now to just lay down on this field and receive this energy. And now the purple and violet energy is going to move through your body and start to heal. If there's any pain that you've been holding in your neck, in your back, in your head, if there's if there's any sort of energy that's coming through that is distracting, allow now for all of that to just simply fade away. You are stronger than, you are brighter than any distraction in your life, and you are open to this sort of higher frequency. Imagine that if you were an instrument that was being played, you would start to feel every single fiber of your being start to open up, right? And imagine what that sound and imagine what that note would feel and be like. And just hear that note as I play the crystal pyramid. I forgot to put it up for a vote, but I'm going to play the crystal pyramid today because it has a few different tones to it. So relax, enjoy, and let go of whatever it is that has been holding you back. Remember, your power is in hope and faith. Let's let those two energies ring strong and ring the loudest. Take a deep breath. And imagine now that the sun has risen on the horizon, that you have absorbed all of the healing energy that you need to from the violet flame, and you feel, maybe for the first time in a while, completely whole, completely ready for anything that comes your way. And the phrase, I'm more than enough, I'm more than ready, I deserve the opportunities that are being presented to yourself. All of these words come into your mind and into your heart, and you believe them, and you really are ready for that. You're ready to receive. Let's come back into our minds and our bodies. So take one last deep breath. On the exhale, open your eyes, rub your hands together, feeling the presence of mind, feeling the presence of body, putting your hand on your heart. I want you now to make a commitment to do something amazing in the month ahead. And let's connect with that final question that you have for me. What is it that you're seeking knowledge or guidance on? Hold that in your mind. Hold that in your heart. Let's give the cards a shuffle, and let's see what the answer is to this final question. Okay, so the message that came through here for the final card was the Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups is a card of clarity. And part of what you need to do to kind of get clarity is to give yourself permission to look at things from different points of view. We actually had this earlier today, so I'm going to pull it up here in the presentation one more time. And the way that I connected with it, not always the usual sort of interpretation of it, but I said change promotes growth. And what I liked about this kind of version of the Seven of Cups is that we have to see what's possible. We have to entertain the possibilities. Because if we don't, then we'll sometimes have more regret or a sense of, again, fear ruling our lives. And that's not what you want to do. So I would say for you right now, if you're asking a yes/no, I would say you need to do more research. Research leads to development. If you're afraid of making a change in your life, the Seven of Cups is coming through to say, don't be afraid of that. Change promotes growth. I just have to see what's necessary for this. So there's a dreamy quality, there's a research quality to it, and then eventually there is a decision that needs to happen. But you should take all the time you need to explore the different choices before you do it, whatever it is that you want to do. So much as picking a potential partner, we should date first. We should know who we are. We should know who we like to be with, who we don't like to be with before we marry someone. We should have done all the requisite work on ourselves too. Before choosing a college or university, you should visit the schools, you should talk to students, you should talk to faculty. You should make sure that this is what you want. Before signing the deed to a house, you should do the same thing. You should make sure that you like the neighborhood, that there's good schools, that all the things that you're looking for are there. So make sure that you have a chance to explore. Exploration is the most enjoyable part of the process. And if you cheat yourself of that, then you will be wondering, did I miss something? So don't miss out on that. Have fun, explore. So it's a not yet, but a soon sort of energy with this. And I think that in this exploration could come something that was unexpected as well. So that's why you deserve to give yourself like this wide net that you need to cast to look at all the opportunities. Okay? And someone's talking about mixed signals. Well, we talked about the power of that earlier. The Queen of Swords. Ask the question. What do you want? What do you mean? If you're having difficulty in deciphering, don't assume. So no more assumptions. Ask. Would you like this? Was that good? Is this what you're asking for? Is this what you're trying to say? It doesn't make you sound wishy-washy. It makes you sound connected. Just say, based on this and this and this, I'm assuming that you want this. Is that a correct assumption, or did I miss something? That to me is someone that knows what they're talking about. They've done their homework. They're stating the expectation, and they want to make sure that they're okay. So if you are getting mixed signals, ask. And if someone can't answer, then they're wishy-washy on that, and they're not ready to make the commitment. And that's your answer, that they're not ready. So, and then the question for you is, how long are you ready to wait for someone to get ready? There's a big difference between like 3 months versus 3 years. Eventually, someone should be able to answer the question or answer the call. Okay? So that is pretty much everything for today. One last thing here for you, for the universe. The only thing that I don't love about the Seven of Cups is if you don't know what you want, the universe just throws any random thing your way. So if you say, I want a job, I want a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or I want this, it sounds specific, but it's generic, because a boyfriend could be anybody, and you're not saying kind of like what kind of a partner you're looking for. Someone who's available, someone who's available for unconditional love, someone who's independent, self-sufficient, blah, blah, blah. Like, put out whatever it is that you're looking for energetically, not just a partner, but a partner of the best possible partnership. Sometimes that's what, like if I'm trying to manifest an apartment or a house, I would say not just like help me find something fast, because that's easy. I could just go out and sign a lease today or tomorrow. But what I want to do is find the best possible living situation that checks all the boxes or more than I thought possible, that will be a place that I can see myself as long as I need to be there. Like, I'm picky. It has to feel right. It has to be right. It has to be the best available. So look for the best available and know what that is. And if you don't know yet, sit down and put a list together of what it is that you're looking for in a job, in a house, in a perfect career trajectory. Okay? That's what you need. And that'll help the universe line it up. And then say all of this or better. And we want to make it realistic. Like, don't make a list that's 3,000 line items long. Be flexible in some areas, be very specific in others. Try to get a list of like 10 to 15 and max it out at that. And that'll give you what you want. I've talked before about when I was manifesting finding a rescue puppy. I was very specific on some things. He had to be unconditional in his love. He had to be quiet, which he is. And just a deep soul, loving. I had all these sort of things. And then I was open in other areas, including how he looked. I liked Yorkies, I liked Lhasa Apsos, I liked mutts, I liked Benji types. So I kind of got a scruffy, cute dog. And I was like, that's perfect. I don't need it to be exact there. I'm more concerned about personality and how we mesh, and that he is intuitive and gentle and all of that. And I got all of that. But that was because I was specific where I needed to be specific and open where I needed to be open. And then I said, I didn't need him in a certain amount of time. I said, let me know when this soul has arrived. And all of this or better. And I got all of this or better. He has a couple of quirks like every person and every dog does. But they're sweet, and I love him for who he is. All right. Let me move into the gratitude portion here. I always like to say thanks at the end, especially for those of you that have been able to give back. If you've been a longtime subscriber or you're a current member, I see a bunch. I just want to say thanks for that. If you are brand new and you just became a member, I'm going to acknowledge that today. So give me a second here. And let's welcome in the new members. Sage Quills or Quillis, I think it is. Yeah, it's Quills. Thank you so much for rejoining after 1 month. Good to have you here, Sage. Poller17, I think. Brand new. Welcome. Good to have you. Let's see. Sheena Davis joined a few days ago, but welcome. Quintana May also joined a few days ago. Welcome. Faya R rejoined after 15 months. Good to have you. And let's see. I think that's just about everyone. Eve, Elmir, Scott, Crystal. It looks like all of you joined within the past week. So just want to say thanks to all of those folks. Now let's say thanks to anybody that gave back with a super sticker or a super chat today. So kicking things off, we have Aphrodite Goddess with your first contribution. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then Jeannie Hart, good to see you again, as always. And Kim Campbell Davis and Becky Ryan. I appreciate all of you and hope that you enjoyed that, right? And also, Isha, thank you for being a member for 6 months. I appreciate that as well. And I think that's it. Okay, we got everybody here today. We're at time. Lots of love and light to you. I hope you have a great month ahead. Maybe we'll pull Apollo up for the goodbye. You want to say goodbye to everybody? And then we're going to go for a walk. All right, everyone. Lots of love and light from this little fluffy assistant and from me. I hope you have a great month ahead. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I'll be back again tomorrow. Let's see, we're doing Cancer today, so we'll be doing Leo tomorrow. You can see the whole schedule on my website if you need to. All right, until then, lots of love and light, and take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves as well. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.